Hey. Elon, welcome. A few hours ago, you made an offer to buy Twitter. Why?
How'd you know?
Elon Musk built a reputation for changing the game by ignoring the rules.
Tesla's changing the way we experience automobile transportation and movement today.
I think it's important that humanity become a multi-planet species.
He's probably Da Vinci Plus. These truly remarkable people in history.
It's a story of success and controversy.
Today, the SEC filed securities fraud charges against Elon Musk.
He has to discredit people who disagree with him or question him.
And Musk's latest venture is no different.
Civilizational risk is decreased the more we can increase the trust of Twitter as a public platform.
He's basically bought a house that's worth $1 million for $4 million.
In a career defined by defying the odds, will Twitter help Musk expand his empire, or will it be his undoing?
There's a Teflon quality to the guy. An interesting question is how long are you going to be able to keep that ball in the air?
Tonight, the world's richest man, Elon Musk, is set to control one of the most influential social media platforms, and both lawmakers and Wall Street are waiting to see what happens next.
Having a public platform that is maximally trusted and broadly inclusive is extremely important to the future of civilization.
Elon Musk, his lawyer, has just sent a letter to Twitter to say the deal is off.
Twitter sued Musk back in July after he walked away from a $44 billion deal to buy the company. Musk countersued them right back, saying Twitter misrepresented how many users were actually on the platform.
And after months of back and forth, Musk's court order deadline is tomorrow to close a $44 billion deal to take over Twitter. Yesterday, Musk posted this video of himself carrying a sink into the company's San Francisco headquarters. He wrote, quote, "Entering Twitter HQ, let that sink in."
Overnight, Musk tweeted, quote, "The bird is freed."
On April 13, 2022, 9 days after buying a 9% share of Twitter, and 5 days after asking if the platform is dying, Elon Musk offered to buy out the company at $54.20 a share, 15% above its stock price at the time.
It's already the second worst acquisition in history. It'd be hard to argue this company's worth $10 billion, much less 45. So I think this is, the mother of all reversion to the mean, karma, whatever you want to call it. This has been an unmitigated disaster for him thus far.
Twitter has seen a decline in its heaviest users who tweet at least 3 to 4 times a week. These users make up just 10% of monthly users, but drive half of the platform's global revenue. In 2021, Twitter made $5 billion in revenue, but operated at a $221 million net loss and continues to post losses into 2022.
The Twitter acquisition. I have never seen anything on Wall Street like this. Even after he signed the papers, as Twitter was public, the entire social media and tech universe on the stock market started plummeting. Instead of buying low and selling high, Elon was buying really high.
In order to finance the deal, Musk took out $13 billion in loans against the company, costing the company around $1 billion a year in interest payments.
He's basically bought a house that's worth $1 million for $4 million and has to figure out a way to renovate it such that it's worth $4 million again. That's just not easy.
Musk said he invested in Twitter, believing in its potential to be the platform for free speech around the globe.
You could argue that it's helped him build his fortune. His fans respond to what he does on Twitter, and in the past that used to drive his Tesla stock up. He says that he thinks Twitter is this super valuable town square, that this is good for democracy and for the world. He may also believe that, but I think first and foremost, it's a thing that he really cares about and thinks everyone else should as well.
His effort to buy Twitter, really isn't that unusual in the age of billionaires trying to buy media properties. A is a vanity project, or B as a tool to increase their influence. Well, Twitter, in Elon Musk's world, is the front page of his daily life. If Jeff Bezos has the Washington Post, Elon Musk's got Twitter.
He told me there were 3 things that his life was all about: was stopping the addiction to fossil fuels, giving an option to Earth, i.e. Mars. And then number 3 was to stop the ability of nation states to restrict individual liberties. He's always been a deep free speech advocate, so this business with Twitter never surprised me.
The risk Musk has taken on with Twitter is just the latest in a career defined by succeeding at high-stakes gambles.
Elon's working on electric cars, space, both getting to Mars, sending rockets, space-based internet, human intelligence and artificial intelligence interface through computer chip in your brain, drilling tunnels under busy cities to eliminate congestion. That's just some of them.
He has a risk appetite that's unlike most CEOs out in the world. And it gets to his kind of philosophy on how he manages things is that he is all about momentum. Just like a gambler at a casino, if you've got a hot hand, you want to keep playing that in his mind because you want to beat the house.
And Musk's career began in one of the newest and hottest casinos in the world, the early days of the dot-com boom. In 1995, Musk launched Zip2, essentially an internet version of the old-school Yellow Pages. When it was sold in 1999, it made Musk $22 million.
That's how he made his initial money, which he then turned into what we now know as PayPal, and that's really what made his fortune.
Musk co-founded X.com, an early online bank. It merged with Confinity, a startup co-founded by Peter Thiel in 2000, and Musk eventually leads as CEO. But months later, while on his honeymoon, the board ousts him. The joint venture was renamed PayPal in 2001.
It was a transformational moment for Elon because he realizes that can never, absolutely ever happen again. He decides at that moment, going forward, I have to be in control of these companies, period.
eBay bought PayPal in 2002, earning Musk $180 million. And he used it to double down on his next idea.
You know, we used to have this joke, how do you become a millionaire in the space industry? And the answer was you start as a billionaire. So SpaceX is an interesting story. It began, for me, with a phone call in July of 2001. He wants to do this private mission to Mars, and he's calling me because he's decided he needed Russian rockets to do this, and I was the guy to help him buy Russian rockets. And so I said, yeah, you know, I can help you do that. I had done that work with the Russians for a number of years. We came with a proposition of buying 2 of their vehicles for $8 million. And we knew that they had sold them to this English group for $2 million apiece. So we thought, we'll give them a good price. We'll get 2 of them. And when we offered that to them, they said, no, but we'll sell you 1 for $8 million, which is still by most standards a great price, right? And so Elon got offended by this, and he said, nope, I'm done. Just like that. The Russians sealed their fate right then and there. He says, I think we can build this rocket ourselves. And so he hands his computer back. Mike and I start looking at this, and it's a design for the Falcon 1, which was their first vehicle. And I'm like, this is pretty good, Elon. He goes, when we get back, we're going to start a company, and we're going to go build this rocket ourselves, because I'm not going to buy it from the Russians. And so that's how SpaceX started, literally.
Musk isn't the only billionaire exploring space. Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos have similar aims. But in 2017, Musk's SpaceX made history by successfully launching, landing, and then relaunching the same rocket.
Reusing your rockets it's you know, kind of like wearing your underwear twice. It's just not done. So SpaceX is arguably changing everything we know and think about space. They actually created an entirely new system. And if you look at history, that's probably the only way that true revolution really happens is you don't topple the old system, you make the old system irrelevant, and you starve it of oxygen, which is exactly what SpaceX has done.
Musk is lauded for his vision and drive, but he's also criticized for being notoriously difficult to work for.
It was not unusual to have a phone call from him at 3 in the morning on your cell phone. You better, by God, have that next to your bed to answer. He's just gone into yelling fits against me, telling me I'm stupid and I don't know what I'm talking about, and And I've seen him do it to other very intelligent people. So he'll definitely find your weakness in your personality, in your character, in your spirit, and I wouldn't say exploit it, but you'll definitely crack.
There are all sorts of stories over the years of Elon's rage firings where he likes a person and then thinks they're an idiot the next moment, and how he's just overly demanding or thin-skinned or mercurial, and that is just part of the Elon story.
But the rebukes go beyond allegations of harsh management. In 2022, a report alleged that SpaceX paid a $250,000 settlement to a former company flight attendant after she accused Musk of exposing himself and propositioning her. Musk denied this and made light of the allegations on Twitter. In response, SpaceX employees published an open letter saying the SpaceX mission is incompatible with a culture that treats employees as consumable resources. 9 workers say they were fired for the letter, and unfair labor practice charges were filed on behalf of 8 of them. The charges are pending as of December 2022.
Our need for an idol that can answer these unanswerable questions still remains, and into that void has stepped in tech innovators. And regardless of whether they shower or how obnoxious or how stupid their statements are, that they can save us, and we should throw money and provide them a level of license and leeway and benefit of the doubt that we don't provide to anybody else.
In 2004, 2 years before SpaceX would launch its first rocket, Musk rolled the dice again, investing in what was then a small electric car startup.
Electric cars go back to the early days of the automotive industry. But the problem for electric cars has long been this idea of the battery. Either it cost too much or the range was too short. It just wasn't practical. Technology that was unique at Tesla was the way they were going to manage the power in its battery pack. So they had wired together thousands of these fat finger-sized cells to make the battery pack, but there's a likelihood that one of them could potentially be malfunctioning and just catch fire. And if they all caught fire, you essentially have a bomb on wheels. And so they needed to figure out a way to safely put thousands of these cells into a battery pack and put it on the roadway. And that's where the original innovation of Tesla comes into play. And they figured that out, and they were able to create a battery pack that has been pretty safe and could usher in that electric car era.
Tesla's changing the way we experience automobile transportation and movement today. It's the first successful domestic automobile startup since 1925.
I put all the money I had left in Tesla at the end of 2008. I had to borrow money from friends just to pay the rent. And I mean, it's a long saga, but we closed the financing round at 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve 2008. It was the last hour of the last day when it was possible. Because if that financing round hadn't closed, we would have gone bankrupt a few days after Christmas.
Tesla reported its first full-year profit in 2021, 13 years after Musk became CEO.
He has disappointed investors on numerous occasions. He's been late with product. The product hasn't performed the way he said it's going to. There are people who complain about it. Somehow it all doesn't matter because people are sort of blinded by the brightness of his star, by his charisma.
Consumer Reports ranked Tesla electric vehicles among the least reliable EVs in 2022, but Bloomberg expects Tesla Model Y to be among the top 5 best-selling vehicles in the world.
So this is really interesting quality about Elon. He also has this ability to tell the story in a way that is like magnetic and fun. He's not just revealing a new model car. It's like a disco with a light show and music, and people are dancing and screaming and having a ball. It is like nothing the world's seen before.
Prior to Tesla, for years, nothing was more boring in this country than manufacturing. It was something that was offshored. And here was a guy who was making manufacturing sexy.
He had to prove that an electric automobile was more than just a golf cart, that it could be attractive, it could be sexy, it could be fast.
In a lot of ways, he's a Rockefeller or he's a Henry Ford of this era. He's moved beyond the business pages to the gossip pages to, all the web pages.
He's very much a celebrity. I mean, he hosted SNL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elon Musk.
To anyone I've offended, I just want to say I reinvented electric cars and I'm sending people to Mars in a rocket ship. Did you think I was also going to be a chill, normal dude?
It's inconceivable that the CEO of General Motors in 1955 would have ever done anything like that.
Musk's risk-taking isn't confined to his business decisions. He's tweeted voraciously and seemingly haphazardly to his over 100 million followers well before he owned Twitter.
He's letting it all hang out on Twitter day in and day out, from the ridiculous jokes to the personal anecdotes about his life. That is an authenticity that really has resonated with people.
The first tweet to when Elon responded to me was regarding this technical glitch of Tesla car. Later on, we have started talking about SpaceX's Raptor engine or Merlin engines, what the future plan of SpaceX looks like. You don't see a lot of CEOs in the tech space do that. He doesn't follow some sort of a corporate template or a business agenda to run his Twitter.
He's also using social media as a weapon sometimes against those that he has perceived done him wrong or he perceives as being a threat to him, whether you're a government regulator or a rival or a reporter.
He has accused me of taking money from hedge fund billionaires to pay my sources. He has accused people who've spoken out against his ideas. He has to discredit people who disagree with him or question him, because so much of his empire is built on this image that he's out here trying to save the world.
His use of Twitter is so prevalent that when he makes a misstep, and he tends to make them on occasion, that can hurt the company.
Musk tweeted falsely, claiming he secured funding to take Tesla private at $420 per share, causing Tesla's stock price to jump over 6%.
Today, the SEC filed securities fraud charges against Elon Musk, the chairman and CEO of Tesla Motors.
Musk would remain CEO, but in a settlement agreed to step down as Tesla's chairman, establish controls to oversee his communications, and pay $40 million in fines. In response to these penalties, he tweeted, "Worth it."
He allows himself to be seemingly unedited. You have to be careful with that.
Elon Musk is wasting no time putting his stamp on Twitter. He fired a number of top executives just after buying the company.
Twitter has gutted a good chunk of its workforce, including those who fight misinformation.
Twitter is seeing an exodus of advertisers under Elon Musk.
Twitter's revenue is over 90% ads. You know, Elon needs these advertisers much, much more than they need him.
Musk's slashing of moderation teams, among other moves, created security concerns, prompting CBS News to briefly suspend posting on Twitter and causing advertisers to hesitate. The Washington Post found a third of Twitter's top 100 marketers did not advertise on Twitter for at least 2 weeks in November 2022.
If you were trying to imagine a scenario where you wanted to hurt Twitter and reduce its revenue as quickly as possible, you would do what Elon Musk is doing, which is freaking out advertisers, not only not placating them, but threatening the ones who withheld their money. This is a very different business. At the moment, it's an advertising-based business. Tesla famously doesn't do advertising, and sort of Elon is the advertising and the cars are the advertising. So he's not really used to that world.
Musk's combative style may have paid off so far, but this deal leaves much less room for error.
Elon has long been a cash-poor billionaire. So much of his riches are tied up in SpaceX and Tesla that he doesn't have a lot of cash over the years. And so while he might be among the world's richest people, it's not like he's got a giant checkbook. While Tesla became so much more valuable, he was able to extract some of that. But still, he was still going to buy it based upon some of his shares, and that tied the company, the risk, into Twitter. All of his companies tend to have some kind of risk associated with the other one.
Musk has sold over $19 billion in Tesla shares since April 2022. Tesla shares hit a 2-year low at the end of November 2022.
Most dangerously for him, it'll begin infecting Tesla. If he has to sell more Tesla stock to fund the interest payments on the debt he's borrowed against Twitter, you could see a lot of downward pressure on what is the golden goose and what comprises the majority of his wealth, and that is Tesla shares.
To generate a cash flow, Musk is pulling several levers.
Well, you know, anything he does is going to be better than what Twitter was. It was the worst managed social media company in history.
Give the guy a break. He just spent all this money to try to make it much better for democracy and society, to have a more open platform, and I am sympathetic to that agenda.
Musk said he wants to limit reach, not speech. He suspended Ye's account after he tweeted an image of a swastika, but hate speech on the platform is still surging. He's also made internal documents, dubbed the Twitter files, accessible to select journalists. They claim the files suggest pre-Musk Twitter limited the reach of conservative accounts.
What he's doing at Twitter, reducing the workforce, trying to move to subscription, thinking about payments, all of those make sense. So it's not what he's doing, it's how he's doing it. So having people escorted out of the building, saying inappropriately disparaging things about former employees. It's not what he's done, it's how he's gone about it.
Musk has defied the odds, but whether Twitter is his next success story or a bet on a losing hand remains to be seen.
Elon Musk has been a very successful businessman. Twitter is going to bring his business acumen into question because this certainly looks like it has the potential to sort of alter his biography if it doesn't go well, and it looks like it's not going well.
The more of his own money and the more of Tesla's money that he puts in the company, the more it's going to drag his whole empire down. The question is when his ego will let him go.
Is Elon Musk a net positive for society? I would argue he is. I think the EV race is a great thing. Space exploration is really hopeful and just kind of inspiring. The problem is with the word net. And that is, once we decide an individual or a company is a net good for society, we don't want to hold him or the company accountable for anything.
There's a Teflon quality to the guy. An interesting question is how long are you going to be able to keep that ball in the air?
He's probably Da Vinci plus. These truly remarkable people in history. I'm getting old, but if there's another reason to live 40 years, I want to see the outcome of this, right? We all have to have something to look forward to.